That video was released last night, just hours after Cook County's state attorney announced she would charge Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke with first-degree murder. The video was taken on the dashboard cam of another officer's vehicle. The gruesome scene shows 17-year-old Laquan McDonald last year being shot and killed by Jason Van Dyke. McDonald was reportedly shot 16 times after Van Dyke, the police officer in this video, called for him to drop the 3-inch knife that he, McDonald, was carrying. Van Dyke's attorney maintains that his client believed he was in fear of an attack and for the safety of others, and that he knows in his heart of hearts that his actions were appropriate. In response to the release of this video and to the first-degree murder charges filed against Jason Van Dyke, Chicago streets have filled with protesters. Back today to discuss this ongoing story is active shooter expert and former police officer Chris Grolnick. Chris, welcome back.
Hey, Liz, how are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. Now, what do you see as a former law enforcement officer when you view this video?
I mean, it's even disturbing to someone like me. And the more you see, there's some things that you can't unsee. If you take your time and watch the video, there's two sides. You know, video doesn't always tell the whole tale. You know, they say the tale of the tape. Since it's two-dimensional, I will say that this is obviously not a justified shoot just from what I see. And remember, we haven't seen the whole thing. However, the suspect does turn left and does have a knife, and I think the officer makes a poor decision by initially jumping out of his vehicle immediately and then starting to fire. Now, anybody can argue, you know, something called auditory exclusion or sensory overload, where they don't know how many rounds they fired in an X amount of time. But it seems to be an excessive amount of shots for anybody, obviously, and I think that's what the most disturbing part is. Then you break down the dichotomy that the knife is only 3 inches long and it slashed a tire and he was in no threat to others. Well, that's what the normal viewer sees. As a police officer, I see, well, how long do you let him go on? How far do you chase him down the street? What if there were civilians on the other end of the police vehicle, which we don't know? And if he has a knife, is he threatening to them? So is the officer shooting to stop the threat, or is he shooting to execute the person? I think it's unfortunate that it's being politicized as an execution. It's obviously wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm not condoning this at all. I'm just simply saying we don't need to take a pause. It is what it is. The officer did, you know, incorrect, and he needs to be charged.
Right. It's a tragedy regardless of the situation. I think you make a good point in saying that even when we have this video, even now that it's released, it's hard to use that short video to know every element, every aspect of the story. Now, the community and these protesters have been pushing for this video to be released for a year. This incident happened a year ago. Why did it take them so long to release the video?
Well, they also just released the details that they paid the family $7 million. So obviously the city put a price on the young man's life of $7 million, paid it out, and that's prior to it going to criminal trial, which is very rare. Because normally they wait for the criminal trial to end and then go civil and then try to get it, you know, maximize their return. And I don't mean they, meaning victims. I'm saying somebody that is, you know, wrongfully killed or, you know, named the whatever. So in this instance, I believe the year wait was they knew riots were coming and it wasn't a really good time to release it with the International Chiefs of Police in town about 3 weeks ago. And now with the terrorist attacks in Paris and the exceptional threats that we have across our globe, we are almost certain that an attack is coming, and that's fear-mongering aside. We just don't know where, how, or when. And, you know, this might have been a good time where the former chief of staff, who happens to be the mayor of that city, says, hey, look, you know, we might be able to put this in the news cycle, get rid of it before Chicago can burn, and then if a terrorist attack comes, we'll rebuild our police department. I think it's a travesty what they're doing to the police. I think they're shaming all of them instead of just the one that did something stupid. And with all the others not drawing their guns and just that one drawing his gun, that draws concerns right there. So believe me, when I tell you I'm not condoning this guy's actions, he probably needs to go to prison forever. That's obviously not my call.
Right. But is it normal procedure to wait this long? Is it normal procedure to take into account the political activities that are happening in the country and around the world? Shouldn't that be separated from the case at hand, from this trial, from these charges? I mean, it seems awfully coincidental that the video was released on the same day that this officer was charged with first-degree murder.
Right, and did you hear the DA's announcement of the timeline of under 30 seconds and the grotesque amount of shots and the autopsy picture, and yet they forget to tell you that they paid out the family to please be quiet. So it makes you wonder, is there a cover-up initiated in the beginning? And I'm not accusing Chicago PD of that, but I am accusing the administration above the police department who's pulling the purse strings and dictating, hey, look, this is obviously a political football. We want to get rid of it as soon as possible. Let's wait for a good release time. And they picked this time. And it's sad. Lady Justice has blindfold on for a reason. Doesn't matter when, where, why, or how. You need to try all crimes as if everyone's innocent until proven guilty. And unfortunately, we're in a rush to judge this officer because he was in a rush to judge the kid that he shot and killed.
Right.